This is WBSM On Demand.
It's time for South Coast Now with Chris McCarthy. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, Chris McCarthy.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. So, it's my favorite day of the week. I've told you that before. It's because I can come back and speak to you. I'm kind of at a loss over the weekend. I mean, I find stuff to do, don't get me wrong. A lot of prep work, but for today. But today's going to be a gorgeous day. That's what they tell me anyway. It's been very nice so far being outside. So, try to get out, enjoy it a little bit. I think it's going to get into the 70s. So, you know, probably in a couple of days it'll be in the 30s because it's April. Mark Twain said it right, you know. If you don't like the weather, don't worry, it'll change. That also means if you do like the weather, you should worry because it's going to change, right? So, happy Monday. Folks, we have a lot of interesting stuff going on in the region. And I say that because I consider people who are elected in New Bedford as part of the region, right? The regional leaders. So that could be if you're on the city council. You know, the stuff you do as a city councilor or that the people of the city elect you to do, it does impact the entire region. Now, we in the region can't vote for you or vote against you, but you do have a role larger than maybe some of you realize. That goes for the mayor as well, right? I think of him as a leader for the whole region. Now, I don't think he's under any confusion about the importance of his position as mayor of the city of New Bedford, that the decisions he makes affect the entire region, right? I think it was a great piece of news that John Mitchell took a trip to Israel. Probably a bad weekend to do it, but, or bad week rather. You know, if you don't think about it too closely, you just think it's, oh, whatever, you know, it's the mayor, he got out of town for a week and got away from city business. You know, that's really not how to look at it, in my opinion. First of all, he went into a war zone. He is a high-profile target for people that use kidnapping as a tool of diplomacy, right? We know that raid done by Hamas on the poor people of Israel, where they slaughtered children and burned women and raped them. But they also took back a lot of people, like the barbarians that they are, into the tunnels of Gaza. So when you have a U.S. elected official traveling into a war zone, it requires additional operational security. And I wouldn't say John was reckless in doing it, but I do say it was well, it took guts, right? It took a pair of balls, in my opinion, to travel into a really hot war zone where they kidnap people like John Mitchell. They assassinate people like John Mitchell. It is a ballsy move by the mayor of New Bedford to go into Israel. Now, it's a calculated risk, obviously. But I think you got to look at your mayor in a new light. That here's a guy who wants to see the biggest event in world history right now. Some would argue it's the final event, but I don't think that. If it is, I'm all right. I know where I'm going. If it is, the end times. But John Mitchell could have just as easily taken a pass on traveling to Israel. We never would have known. And I don't think any of us would have thought less of him. But I'm impressed by the trip that Mitchell took. And I hear you if you're saying, we got our own problems here in the city. I get it. I do. I think that is a reasonable position to hold at first blush, right? We got problems here at home, and John Mitchell should be dealing with those. But the way I look at it is John Mitchell is what I would call a member of the farm team for higher office. Look at how old our 2 U.S. senators are. Our 2 U.S. senators are really old and really out of touch, obviously. So, and I, unless Charlie Baker comes back, and by the way, Charlie Baker's not walking through that door, right? So get over it. For a lot of you, that's fine, right? But Charlie Baker is not walking through that door. So if you're looking for a Republican U.S. senator, I think Scott Brown's moved to New Hampshire permanently. So he's not walking through that door either. So lightning can strike, certainly has. But I think that you've got to look within the Democrat Party for reasonable people, not extreme left-wing ideologues, members of the squad. We've got that. I don't think you're going to get... Look, I'm very plugged in with the Republican Party. There's a reason nobody's running for Congress, the House of Representatives, in the district currently occupied by Bill Keating, even though it's the most Republican district in the state. Which doesn't say a lot, but the majority of the voters in the district that we live in, most of us, currently occupied by Bill Keating, is a majority homeowner district, right? If you look at where the votes come from in the Democrat primary, I do. It is Plymouth, Falmouth, and then you cobble together all the other towns, right? It is not the city of New Bedford, which has a more liberal Democrat Party. Dare I say that the elected leadership of the Democrat Party in the city of New Bedford is the Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, with the exception of Bob Bromley. But John Mitchell is on the farm team, my opinion, for the U.S. Senate, the House of Representatives, governor, attorney general. I've always thought that. Now, I'm a Republican, but I think I would unenroll to vote for John Mitchell in the Democrat primary. I did it for Paul Walsh. I would do it for Mark Montigny. It's not needed. My point is, again, and you know this about me, I look at the person's personality and personal accomplishments and overall policy positions, recognizing that they're Democrats, right? Maybe with the exception of Paul Walsh from that crowd, but they are Democrats after all. But you can get really bad ones and you can get ones that are reasonable. I think John Mitchell is in the realm of reasonable. So I think, folks, that while if I was a taxpayer in the city of New Bedford, I would be angry with what the mayor has done with the budget. He would argue, and he will argue that because we'll have him here Wednesday. He'll argue his own, positions on that. He's been doing it for years. You've been reelecting him for years. Certainly I have my disagreements with the mayor. That's, but I'm just saying, when you look at the field, the farm team, I think you have to include John Mitchell. So when he stretches his wings to travel into a war zone, to see it for himself, to talk with the people on the ground, I think you got to give him credit and you got to recognize it for what it is. You expect your people, when they're mayors, to share an interest in the foreign policy of this great republic. So I think that John Mitchell showed incredible courage to travel into Israel and believe me, he was a soldier. He's under no illusions. And Hamas has an incredible intelligence operation, okay? If we learned anything, a lot of this is available online, but go online and look into the way Hamas deceived Israeli intelligence with an active measures program that rivals much of what the Cubans do to us here, built around the model of the KGB. Hamas deceived the Mossad and the other intelligence agencies and law enforcement in Israel. I would argue they also took advantage of the arrogancy of the Netanyahu government, which I see a lot of in our own government, quite frankly. The idea that, no, they wouldn't dare, right? Well, we learned on 9/11 that sometimes they do. But what I'm saying is that John Mitchell, traveling into Israel, it was known to the enemies of this country and the enemies of Israel, without a doubt, they knew that a group of American officials were traveling into the area where they would have an opportunity to try to grab them. Without a doubt. If you pay attention to what Hamas has done, the networks they have, the intelligence operations that they run, just look at what they did back in October. Total deception of the Israeli security systems. So for John Mitchell to travel into that, shows incredible courage. Because I don't think John's a reckless guy. I really don't. But he's a knowledgeable guy. He was a soldier. He was an officer in the Army. he pays a lot of attention. So I think that the only way to look at it, and you can take an opposite opinion from me, that's what I thrive on. You can call me at 508-996-0500. I'll hear you out. But the idea that he was perfectly safe is not real. That is not a real thing. He was traveling into a war zone, an extraordinarily hot war zone. And we'll hear more from the mayor on Wednesday. And we'll ask him about the other things that are going on in the city and all of that. I know for some of you this is boring, but it's not. And I think it also signals John Mitchell has perhaps signaled that he's interested in taking what he's learned as a mayor of New Bedford and bringing it to the national stage. Because the U.S. senator or a congressman, which I guess is the same, but you know what I mean, House or U.S. Senate in particular, but House seats in Massachusetts are on the national stage. $508-996-0500. I've gone a little long here, but I'm going to take a break. I'm Chris McCarthy. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. Good morning. Happy Monday. It's going to be a beautiful day. A lot of action in Israel over the weekend. Those Iranians are once again out of control. And we're talking about Mayor John Mitchell traveled into the war zone just a couple days ahead of the attack by Iran. And I think it shows, not that he knew about the attack was coming, but we've all been watching this. We've known there's something coming, right? And John Mitchell put himself in, I believe, grave danger, as if there's any other kind, to travel into a war zone to see what's going on there for himself. And I think that took a lot of guts. I mean, it does border on reckless, except that, you know, it's a calculated risk. I mean, if you're going to be a U.S. leader in uncertain times, you will occasionally put your life in danger, in jeopardy, right? So, we'll have the mayor in on Wednesday. We'll talk about this and more. Quite frankly, I could probably spend an hour talking about the Israeli trip and what it, I think, means and what he learned. Again, I think John Mitchell's, and he could argue with me about this, and certainly is right, but I do think that whether he likes it or not, he's on the short list. He's on the bench for the U.S. Senate, governor, attorney general, or maybe even being a House of Representatives member. Although I don't think that Mayor Mitchell would be happy in the House of Representatives, but I could be wrong. But I think his personality could be beneficial for the region in Congress. Certainly in the U.S. Senate. And again, you beloved Democrats, you've elected a couple really clunkers, right? Liz Warren, she couldn't find Fairhaven on the map any easier than she can find Bourne, right? all she knows, and Ed Markey, I mean, you people in the Democrat Party selected a Kennedy over Markey. The rest of the state disagreed with you. But Greater New Bedford voted for Joe Kennedy, Joe K3, overwhelmingly over Ed Markey, Democrats. So I just think that it signals John Mitchell is interested in more than being the mayor of New Bedford. And that is not a slight to the city of New Bedford. You ought to consider it a great honor that he's on the bench for a statewide or larger role. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning, Chris.
What's happening?
Okay. You are.
Yes.
Definitely. This is like, this conversation is like mold. It's going to spore a lot of things with Mayor Mitchell being over there. I have friends that have asked me, what is he doing over there? It made news.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends showed me a picture, and I said, I don't know, he's a part of a mayor thing, which I only knew of when you talked about it the last time, when he was there,
Yes.
when he originally arrived. And then my friend said, oh, what's he going to try to run for president, governor? And I said, well, if he wants to be a governor, I mean, like, he took on all her municipal Empowerment Act. He voted for it, but he said he wouldn't use it against us. Right?
Yes.
Okay. As long as you're hearing me. So I said, I don't know. Maybe that's his next role. President, I can see him trying to do that. I can. A governor, I can see him trying to do that. Yeah, but like everybody's been coming at me, and I'm like, well, you got to keep listening to the radio show.
Yes, that's right.
So now they are, and but whoa, like I am like so. Chris, you just said, okay. First of all, you elected Maura Healey, and you said because the other choice was
Yes. I did.
right. No good. So, but yeah, right here. On live radio, you just said you would change your way of voting to get Mayor Mitchell into a governor or whatever, Senate,
Yes.
whatever kind of position. You would literally become a Democrat.
No, I'd become an unenrolled and vote in the Democrat primary.
Okay, so me, myself, I just said I am going to register to vote. Okay, so this is what's happened in my life. When my brother happened to move, I'm not going to Plymouth. He's going to have to come here to me. When I get him out of Plymouth, he's going to have to come and stay with me, right?
Okay.
So now I know for a fact I'm here. Now I know for a fact I'm going to register for my city councilman, councilor at large, and mayor or whatever.
Yes.
I'm in. I'm all in now.
I like that.
So I do too. I really do. But I'm going to register, and oh my stars, it's going to be hoopla. But to me, you sound like you need to be an independent. Because if you can flip for somebody you really, really like,
Yes.
right, you love Mitchell's policies, everything.
No, I don't. I have serious disagreements with the man on
But you
policy,
would
but that's
switch
okay. I know
and
his
vote.
character.
Right. As a man, you love him. Right. That's what
Yes.
I mean.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Right. Let's not, everybody out there. No. I'm talking about, his
Right.
character you love. But if that's the case, seriously, I myself want to register as an independent because of the fact there's so many wish-washy people. I mean, like, I don't know why he was there. You say it's courage, it was brave. No, he's a part of a committee that he's been a part of for quite a
Yeah, but
while.
you didn't
Him
have to
going
go.
there-
No, he wasn't
No,
drafted.
he didn't, but he did. So guess what? That was a very, I wouldn't say, oh my God, if something was bad, what would everybody say? Why did he even do that?
Right.
He should be here caring about the problems here. But this is a part of him. It's
Yes.
in his blood. He's been a part of this committee type thing.
Right.
He's ahead of it. What's the name of the committee? I'm
The
sorry.
U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Right. And he's been a part of that for how long?
Since he got
You know,
in, yeah.
Right. And how many years has that been?
He's
Would
been in,
everybody out there know?
he's been in for a decade, couple decades now.
10 years.
Yeah,
I thought it was 10 plus, right?
yeah, it is.
So for him to go there, it's not such a big deal, but it is reckless. It does borderline reckless, but I understand the mayor.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the
My
call.
Mr.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call. Seti, yeah, it is a look again. He's part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, but not every mayor in America who's part of that group, which is most, went on that trip. I mean, he wanted to go. He knew what he was doing. As I said, he put himself in personal danger, understanding what the possible consequences are. Is it likely something would have happened? No, it's not. But let me tell you something. He had no control over that, right? And you do have to put yourself in danger. Many congressmen, Bill Keating has done it. Every time he makes a bet in the stock market, he puts himself in danger. No, I'm joking. But you do have people who travel to combat zones all the time. The First Lady did. Remember? She went into the Ukraine. So I think it was a good development for the mayor, personally. I think that, and again, he doesn't have to stay in New Bedford for every moment of his existence. He's entitled to do other things. And with today's communication system, there was nothing happening in the city of New Bedford that the mayor wouldn't have been aware of if he was traveling. I can tell you that over the weekend, I have a friend of mine who's in Japan right now. And we were talking back and forth, texting, sending me pictures, of the bamboo forest and stuff like that. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world now with modern communications and never be out of communication, right? It's not like the good old days. 508-996-05. Finally, get some people on hold. If you'd like to get through, you can right now. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hey, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Okay. Hey, John Mitchell's going to do what John Mitchell wants to do.
No doubt about that. Right.
I'm just happy Hamas didn't take him captive, and that way we would have had a problem here with who's going to take over for him since he's a 4-year mayor and a 2-year with a 2-year thing about replacing him. But can I go off that and talk about something else?
Of course. Go ahead.
Okay.
You've earned that right.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Coming from you, that's a great honor. Okay? But again, I watched the TV and caught that meeting about the business district.
Yes.
Okay? And the impression I got from it, I was listening to people like the baker talk and the gentleman that owns Soups there.
Devin Burns.
Yeah, him talk. And there was some of the arts people that are down there talk, okay? And what it seems is that the smaller business person down there seems to be afraid that if business values are driven up so high by these improvements, they will not be able to continue downtown. The arts, there was quite a few arts people too that spoke about that. So that was what I took of it, and what I took of it was that the city council wanted to reflect on that and see what, if that might be the case, or if there could be another scenario to that if the money is put into improvement of the downtown area, that it wouldn't drive out the small business people who want to stay there. The gentleman who owns the baker seemed concerned. The man who owns the Soups business, he was not against it, but he was, a little leery about the takeover or the change in attitude. So that's what I got. As far as Councilman, I guess it's Baptiste.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very much against it. He doesn't want it at all, from what I gathered. But
but I'm not sure he even understands it.
What's that?
I'm not sure he even understands it.
Well, I've watched him in the past, and he doesn't seem to be comfortable being a public speaker. I think he's more comfortable, talking to people one-on-one and stuff like
Sure.
that, I guess. But he's not the type that likes to get up and, give a long speech and stuff.
Right.
But again, that's what I got out of the meeting, and I think the fact the council postponed it to reflect on it was good. I don't know if 60 days was necessary, maybe 30 days was necessary. I don't know, but that's what I got out of that. So what are you saying?
Well, what I say is that Derek Baptiste aside, who, as I hear from people, he's a very nice guy, good coach,
Yes.
really, good at basketball and stuff like that.
Likeable guy.
Yeah, working with little kids or young people, which is very admirable. But I do think that, first of all, from his questions, you could tell that he had no idea what the BID was.
Well, he came on strong against it. Let's put it that way.
Right, but his questions
that
were,
was my impression.
were completely wrong. I mean, he thought they were there to get a tax break. It's quite the opposite. They're there to contribute more money into a program to add additional services to the area they own property. So the idea that he thought they were there for a tax break, and this is after he met with Linda Morad and representatives from the BID in the DeMello International Center to talk about it and answer questions.
Well, he also did mention that, I don't know, they got it only about 3 hours before the meeting or something.
Yeah, but that's a terrible thing for him to say because it's been around for 60 days. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been there. The fact that he didn't read his mail is another indictment on his counselorhood or ship, whatever you want to call it. His ability to focus and pay attention and ask proper questions was on public display. And I thought it was a really bad look, not certainly for him, but for the council in general. And I think anybody who had real legitimate concerns now has to wonder if politically they're in the Baptiste, Derek's, wing of the city council, right?
Well, again, I just think he was suspicious of it.
Oh yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
As the gentleman who came in, Morrow was his name, was it? I forget now. From the
Marco.
He's from the out. What was that again?
Marco.
Yeah. He's from the outside,
Well,
and
no,
even
but he
even
owns...
Marco blew Linda Morad's name. You got to be kidding
did.
me, And he called it, So it kind of shows he's kind of an outsider trying to come in. And I think Mr. Baptiste was, Council Baptiste was suspicious of him because of that and his motives, I guess.
I agree with you
from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I do. Thanks for the call, my friend, as always. Look, again, you have a right to have questions. You're a city council. You've been elected by the people of New Bedford. You have a franchise there. But to not focus on exactly what it even is and to ask questions based around a false premise was either intentional or just plain not paying attention. I don't know. Could have been some of the greatest or some of the worst political posturing we've ever seen locally. But just remember, folks, that man Marco, he and his family own the Chamber of Commerce building, the one the Chamber of Commerce sold when they left town, right, to become a regional chamber. That guy invested in the city of New Bedford. He bought the Chamber of Commerce building, the one the Chamber of Commerce sold to leave. Think about that for a second. You don't think you need help with your tax base when the Chamber of Commerce is left? Folks, that's what they did in Gaza, right? The business community pulled up and left. Oh, you got a lot of healing to do here in New Bedford. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. It's a Monday. It's beautiful outside. Make sure you get out there and enjoy this. Well, I believe it's going to be in the 70s today, so that's very good. Because, later in the week it'll probably be in the 30s, right, and snowing, because this is, after all, Massachusetts. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, my friend?
Not too bad. It is kind of bizarre because, in this whole exchange that went on last week, one of the things that came out was that the business community was a cult.
Right.
And I never got past that because that's like an outward insult. It's not even an issue of understanding, or I didn't get all the information.
Right.
I don't know anything about business, but to call the meeting or the people involved, in a cult, that tells me that not only do you not understand the information and who you're talking with, it's like you break an arm and you go to the hospital and you start fighting with the doctor. Like,
Yes.
What are you doing?
Right.
I mean, it's so stupid. It's like, what are you doing? And maybe they need some people to get together with them along with the council to help to guide them through, who the business community is and how important it is. Because we're one step away from another raise in basic pay, whatever they call it, minimum wage.
Yes.
And you see what's going on in California with $20, $25 minimum wages. They're just cutting jobs all over the place.
Right.
So one other thing you mentioned is like the mayor going down and some of these people going into these hot zones.
Yes.
And you were saying, they have a phone, so they have that security with them. But now I have a friend of mine that owns a really large business in Acton. It's about a $500 million business.
Okay.
And he travels around the world. He told me, I got Global Rescue. I go, what's that? He goes, I pay for a Global Rescue service. So if I get in trouble, I just hit the button and they come flying in with the troops with guns and everything else.
Really?
It's a real thing. There's actually an office in Boston. And if you're, a person that feels that you travel around and you want extra security, you have to pay for this service, but they contract services around the world, and you're within a helicopter flight of somebody coming in to get you out.
That's pretty cool. Hey, thanks for the call. I got to take a break. That's pretty cool. I don't think I need that, but it's nice to know it's available. Stick around. We'll be back.
Cannot exceed the woe of aftermath. The drums will shake, the castle wall, the ring razor iron black. Right on, shoot straight to them before. No comfort here, the fire at night, the lights of face so cold. Dance in the dark of night, sing till the morning light.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Chris McCarthy. Boy, the day is turning out really nice over there, outside, over there in the parking lot. It looks really nice. I'm inside here till noontime with you. 508-996-0500. We're going to talk more about this business improvement district and the mayor's trip to Israel in the next hour. I'm curious, again, what you folks think the mayor's trip signals. Maybe nothing. There is, I think, a lot of ambition in the mayor. Nothing wrong with that. You'd like to hope that all of your elected officials have ambition, right, for a larger role. But I think he also developed.